Hey Starseeds, welcome to Starseed Energetics. My name is Ashtara and I'm going to be giving you a November energy reading. This one is for Arcturian Starseeds. I know that it's a little bit past the beginning of November, but I hope at least on my channel, most of you guys are used to not having such a calendrical perception on time. So with that being said, if you resonate with me deeply and you would like to get a further calibration, I put a lot of my healing work and transmissions on my Patreon. You can choose different options and tiers for how deep you want to work with me. Otherwise, please subscribe to my channel and like this video because it'll help me out. There's the King of Wands here, Three of Swords, and then the Six of Cups that have just flipped out. And this, so you're going through a heartbreak, most likely having to do with soul tribes. As you can see here, this particular card has different creatures on there, 3 different packs of things. So you might be rearranging your soul family tribe, and this is quite heartbreaking for you, but it also gives me a message that you're tuning into the fire element of your heart. So in your heart energy, there is an earth heart energy and then there is a fire heart energy, okay? And you don't need to really know the details of this, and sure, there's a lot of different ways to perceive energy, but this is just one of the ways that you can understand the heart energy. Is there's different layers, and some people are tuned more into the earthly heart and some people are more tuned into the fire heart. And to me, you're learning how to tune into the fire heart, which actually will have you more prefer lighter things in life. So when you're exercising, it gets a little lighter. When you're eating, your choices get a little lighter in terms of like the actual frequency. And more feminine as well. So this is what's occurring here, and it has a lot to do with your soul family as well. The dynamics that feel lighter for sure, instead of dramatic and kind of intense. So you're awakening that fire element of your heart. 10 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Swords reversed. So when it comes to earthly matters, whether it's finances, health, or, you know, just your relationship with earthly life, here I have an energy that, you know, you've just been carrying too much. You've just been struggling a lot, and you've been overburdening yourself to a degree that is no longer sustainable. And I feel that it has a lot to do with your own inability to perceive yourself as this rational decision maker. I feel that you considered yourself a little bit more emotional, and I'm not exactly sure why you've been perceiving yourself like that you're an emotional decision maker, which is a label that you've been giving yourself, which is a perspective that you've had of yourself for a while now. It might be that you've been suppressing your ability to detach from every situation from an emotional level and really truly make the decision that is right. It also could be due to this really false templating of the spiritual paradigm, being like, oh, you have to make decisions based on how you feel. But there's a huge difference between feelings and emotions. There's a huge difference between intuition and emotion. Intuition is very much of a holistic caliber of energy, and it's not a force, it's a power. But emotions are more like a force. Emotions are directional, whereas intuition is omnidirectional. There is no direction, it moves in all directions. Emotions, you'll feel it linear, or you'll feel a shape, you'll feel a template to that. So you need to start distinguishing what really is emotions and what really is feelings. And I feel that you don't even probably perceive this stuff about yourself, like that you are confusing between feelings and emotions. And like I said, a lot has to do with the false templating of spirituality, because a lot of you have been walking this spiritual path for a while now, and you don't even realize how much you've been conditioned by fallen light templates, which is you know, guiding people to believe in certain things that are not necessarily true. It's not a whole truth, it's a partial truth. So this is what you're learning to do, is to temper that, to balance that, and to re-perceive yourself, because there's a false perception about yourself here. A lot of things in reverse now coming up, which tells me, you know, there's a lot of blessings in your life, but you're not able to perceive them because you're so caught up in your kind of automatic responses or reactions to situations. But there's a difference though. Like you're starting to be aware of it. But you're at an energetic space where you're able to make decisions not out of reaction, but there's still this momentum from before that you think this is your default automatic reaction. But actually your automatic reactions have changed a lot since a few weeks ago, and you're not giving yourself the kind of credibility, or you're not giving yourself enough attention to see that. And what you need to do is really start paying attention to how you feel in terms of intuition, not your emotion, and really tune into how you're feeling about yourself at the moment. And just in general, I can't stress enough, and I've been saying this ever since I started my channel, it's like you need to start paying attention to what you're aware of, like of your awareness, your base awareness. And I feel like you take a lot of this pure awareness for granted because you feel like it's just something that everybody has, but it's not that something that everybody has. It's not something that everybody is even familiar with, even if they're running on that. Their level of awakening is not to a level where it's able to kind of filter out all the different layers that hinder pure perception. And pure perception is where you're headed to cultivate. And this is what I say often, is that the highest transfiguration of your third eye energy is not to see into other dimensions, but to see with clarity and perception. So being able to see the truth behind all situations. And this includes yourself and how you treat yourself and how you react to situations, and why is it that you react to situations, and what you're curious about. And when you're curious about something, why is it that you're curious about that something? And perhaps if you're not getting a solid answer to what you're wanting to know, then it's irrelevant. And it's like, do you really accept the fact that things could be irrelevant, that you really want to know, that you really want to figure out? There's an offer of love here with the... No, this is actually the Page of Cups. So there's a message, but there is an offer of love. There actually is. This is all, you know, talking about a romantic love kind of expression that could be taking place in your life, but you're not in the space to perceive it right now. And it's okay. You can just let it unfold naturally. But I feel like you're really deep into self-awareness, like self-evaluation at this moment. And that's fine. But you really need to realize that there's new energy at play, and you can't bring in the conflicts that you had before. You can't bring in, like, a lot of the problems that you are used to caring about are rather irrelevant at this point, and you're still worried about it. So that's what I would say, is to really pay attention to what you're concerned about and really see if it's still relevant for you to carry that energy. So for your oracle cards, Arcturian Starseeds, you look, I know you're spiritual, and I know you do spiritual things, and I know that this is kind of basic of a recommendation, but you need to take more time to meditate. And I know that some of you guys have tapped into a place where, you know, you've done a lot of different meditations, you've done retreats, you've done silent kind of chunks of time where you're meditating so much that, you know what, at one point, you don't need to meditate all the time. Like, at one point, you can go for weeks without meditating and you still have this clarified perception to how you handle every moment, that it's almost like a meditation at every moment. I get that, but right now is not the time for you to have that kind of attitude. Right now you need to meditate because there's a lot going on with your environment, and because there's a new body of energy, in order to assimilate that fully, properly, and get to know your new like expression of yourself, which is occurring right now, you need to take at least an hour a day and like sit in silent meditation. I know guided meditations are so much easier, visualization so easy, sitting in light language super easy, but there's just one of the most powerful things you can possibly do in your human existence, and it is to literally sit down and tune into your base awareness, which is the level of awareness that is aware of any subjective experience that you can possibly experience in this life, which includes thoughts, emotions, sensations, and any other dimensions that you think is so cool. There's a blank awareness that has to precede all of it. It's kind of like if a painting is painted on a canvas, all the colors, all the shapes, all the forms, so cool, but are you aware of the canvas? Like, you need to figure that out in order to assimilate this perfectly. And well, perfect is not the best word, but in order to assimilate this effectively. And what's happening actually is you're calibrating the template of abundance in a lot of different areas of your life. So this is not just physical abundance. This is like abundance, the frequency itself flowering out in every single direction. So sure, there's a lot of people who have tons of money, but you wouldn't necessarily call them abundant because their life kind of sucks. Or their abundance is just directed towards like this financial material abundance. But then it's like, is there abundance in your relationships? Is there abundance in your life mission, your life vision? Is there abundance in just the way you feel? So many different ways it can unfold. And for you, you're kind of like calibrating that in every single way, because you're building that into your actual perception, you're building that into your own frequency emanation. It's kind of like a booster in the way you emanate energy itself. And so, you know, look, you need to just meditate. My advice would be take an hour in the morning to just sit. If you've been to a Vipassana retreat, you know exactly how to do that energy of just giving up any notion of time and space, because all you have to do is meditate for 10 days. And if you've never been to a Vipassana retreat, I really would say like you need to go. You don't need to go, but it's just one of the most powerful things you can possibly do in this kind of like in our society, in our structure of our environments. It's just really awesome. Just look it up, Vipassana, on Google, and you can find one near where you live, and it doesn't even cost anything. All right, here I have healing and playfulness. Yeah, you're going through a healing wave. You probably recently went through a massive shift and still integrating your healing, but you need to be a little bit more playful, because I feel like you're definitely way too serious, which is a message that comes up for Arcturian Starseeds all the time, because they're pretty freaking serious. And so you need to get a little bit more playful about life, and just like, if you feel trapped in any situation, maybe like a reminder that this reality is kind of like room escape on a multi-dimensional level. Not that we have to escape anywhere, but it's just like supposed to be fun, okay? Like, it's supposed to be fun. Imagine if you're playing room escape and in one of the rooms, like, you forget that you came here for fun, and you realize like, and then you can't even remember why you're there, and you just start freaking out. But like, if you remember, like, hey, you actually came here for fun. You know, it was for entertainment purposes. Sometimes you forget. here I have coming apart, compass, and mountain. So, you know, based on the tarot spread that you had earlier as well, you're definitely coming apart from people and things and situations that were very, very dear to your heart. But you need to realize that you have an inner kind of guidance, and you don't need to know exactly where you're headed next, because I think sometimes you're really wondering like, okay, what's gonna happen next? Like, who's gonna come into my life? And then it sets you on this catapulting motion of like, you cannot have that attitude of like trying to conquer the next steps over and over and over again, although that kind of energy helped you before to get to a certain place in your life. You can't have the same strategy over and over in this different room escape games. For instance, if you pass the room, the same strategy is not going to work anymore. And I don't know why the room escape thing keeps coming up, but like, it's a good example of how you can perceive your current reality. You have to change your strategy right now, to be a little bit more playful, and to kind of, you know, it's a complete new paradigm in how you're going to get to the next step. Because I think that up until this point, your life has just been a giant mess to get to a certain place in your life, and you've actually got here. Okay, you succeeded, congratulations. But now kind of chill for a bit, but the next step of where you're going is going to require a change of energy. It's going to require a change of direction. It's going to require a change of strategy. And it's not necessarily going to be that you're gonna like surmount obstacles and go through them, but it's like, what are the different ways in which you can play around your obstacles? How can you transcend them in a different way than you've always had? You know, if strategies had worked with you prior to these moments, it's obviously easy for you to think that it's gonna work for other things. But it's, you know, comparing it to even sports games, like if a sports team is competing with another sports team, not that you're competing, but let's say that they won this one team and they move on to the next league, and they're gonna play another team, then you have to re-strategize because your opponent is different. You know, like, you can't have the same strategies. So that's basically where you're coming from in like what you're advised to do. And I get the spirit of place here, cleaning house and commitment. So you need to definitely commit to your environmental energy right now, and more so to clean out all of the clutter that has been there before, because there's a lot of items or belongings that you have currently in your house or in your possession that its frequency is no longer of a match, and it's a direct kind of reflection of the energetic cords that you're still holding onto. So if an item, you know, regardless of the actual value of the item, if you pick up the item and you don't feel great about it, then you should find a way to release that out of your life, whether it's selling it or giving it away. And if it has a lot of memories about a certain place or a certain person, that's definitely got to go. But you need to definitely commit yourself into like your basic environment. Is it always reflecting your mental kind of space? If you have a lot of clutter in your house all the time, it really reflects that you're not cleaning your mental space properly all the time. You know, it's got a direct reflection. So that's that. And then I feel that this is also a message for you to commit to accept and acclimate to your place where you're at for the moment, instead of trying any sort of escapism or not being so grounded in where you are, or not accepting the stage in your life where it's at and not seeing its value, but wanting to go to the next step. It's like, part of people who really want to conquer the next steps is that they're uncomfortable with acclimation of where they're currently at and what they're supposed to learn at the moment, and then they just kind of outsource that energy into feeling like, oh, I have next goals, I have bigger goals, so I'm going to focus on that. But it's like, it's a form of escapism. So that's where you're wanting to watch yourself. And you know, sometimes the reason why you might be focused on other goals is that you feel like the current one is quite challenging. Even if it's bigger or smaller, there's no size in the goal, but you need to just trust in yourself at this moment, that you can conquer through whatever it is that you're being challenged with right now. And you don't need a rescue team. You can do this on your own, and you don't need to go through a storm. You can just take a different route. I do feel that there's an unexpected encounter or visitor in your life that may just shift a lot of things around in your life, and this is something that is really exciting, and you might be quite afraid actually, but there's a really thin line between excitement and anxiety, as Sam Harris would say, and you just need to trust yourself. There's a lot of cards that point to your inner guidance and how you just have to take it step by step at a time, and to just spend enough time in solitude in order to constantly reevaluate where you're at energetically, and just make sure that your intentions and agenda are attuned to your higher self rather than other people's agendas that may completely differ. Even if somebody's completely loyal and even if they're trustworthy, they still have different agendas than you do in terms of life, because that's just how human incarnations are designed. They're designed to be following their own individual agendas, and even if you feel like you don't have an agenda, you have an agenda, and that's how you basically interact with other people as well. Even if you feel like you don't want anything from anybody, there's still a subconscious agenda running through there. So just watch out for that, and just being aware of that. And it doesn't mean that you have to push other people away or push yourself away from other people, because there's all these agendas at play. But the only person that you don't have an agenda with is your higher self. You don't have an agenda with yourself. You just want to align and calibrate, and that's it. So taking enough time to tune into that, because even if you feel like you're not calibrated to an agenda, you're constantly, as a human being, you're calibrated to an agenda, because there's subconscious, subliminal frequency control going on. There's different rings of magic at play in this matrix. So that's why you always need to attune to your highest kind of magic internally and vertically, instead of, you know, even if you're just relaxing, your energy will automatically click in with the dominant template. So just strengthening the connection between you and your higher self, okay? And that will come with this kind of silent practice that I'm talking about, because that's actually the highest dimensional version of yourself, is that pure awareness. It's, you know, more powerful than any star systems or aliens or angels or nothing. Like, nothing compares to pure awareness, okay? So when you calibrate to that, all the other dimensions will just calibrate all the way down to your third, okay? Thank you so much once again for checking this video out. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and if you really like the style of my calibration, if you like the style of my messages, you can check out Patreon, because I have a monthly deep healing energy session work and calibration on that. So thank you again, sending you lots of love. See you in December.